You go anytime.
Yep, go ahead anytime.
Okay. We will call this Legislative, Judicial, Ethics, Court Safety and Security Committee meeting to order. Monday, December 9th at 10 a.m. And we are at back to the courthouse. First, has the meeting, the proper meeting notice been distributed?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. In this meeting may inadvertently cause a quorum of other committees of county board. No business decisions of those committees will be conducted. We've got a full quorum today. Everybody's present. And first order of business is we'll review and approve the agenda.
Mark moves to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second. Second by Dennis Wangelski. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Who opposed? The agenda is approved. Likewise, we need to approve the minutes of our previous meeting of November 11, 2024.
Move to approve.
Was approved by Dennis Wangelski,
I'll second that.
second by Scott Pacheski. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes passed. Any public comment? I don't see anybody from the public here. There's a funny fellow in the back, but I think he's with us. So anyways. Ordinance and resolutions. We've got resolution number 30, 2024-25. Amendment to a Packet County ordinance number 45 of the General Code of Ordinances comprehensive map. And we have Mr. Ryan Brown.
So this first one here, we're looking at going from agriculture to residential on this on their preferred land use map. The reasoning behind this is that they're looking to do a lot split. So they're right where they had a portion of that property. It's kind of an odd shaped property, but that northern portion, that squared off portion to the north, there's a survey that they have proposed to take that northern portion off. It's gonna be sold on, and in order for them to be able to do that, they need to first have some additional development rights, so they need to change the preferred land use map, or preferred land use designation from agriculture to residential.
Oh, all right. All right, and resolution number 30. All those in favor?
We need a motion.
I'll move for approval of resolution number
Right.
3.
I'll second it. Seconded by Kevin Will.
And I assume when it comes to us, you kind of in favor of that or approve it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this one has actually gone through the planning and zoning committee already.
Okay.
So the committee has already approved this. This is just going through the steps in terms of approval of the resolutions.
Any discussion on resolution number 30? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 30 passes. Resolution number 31, amendment to a Pack County ordinance number 45 of the General Code of Ordinances comprehensive map.
Yeah, this one will make a little more sense when you take a look at the map when Christie brings this up here. So what this is a boundary line adjustment that's gonna be occurring here. So the southern portion where where the middle of the sea in agriculture is, you see with that tree line there. So what they're gonna be doing is a bit of a boundary line adjustment where that portion there south is going to be going to, let me double check my notes here, ag to residential. And then if you see on the western side of the northern lot where you kind of see where it doesn't quite match, the part doesn't, That's the other portion of it that are going to be fixing. You see how there's that yellow portion, you see that tan area there? So what they're gonna be doing is they're gonna be taking that parcel line and that northern line, and they're gonna be moving that to the west so that it actually matches that. So in order for us to be doing that, we need to first change the preferred land use designation on the southern portion to residential, so then they can move forward. They already have a survey put forward on this, but this is kind of like just the next step associated with that. And again, in terms of approval process, this has already gone through the planning and zoning committee, and they've already approved these changes. As well as the town. The town has approved all these changes.
Any discussion? Resolution 31.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second,
Second now.
by Dennis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 31 passes. Resolution number 32, amendment to Wapak County Ordinance number 45 of the General Code of Ordinances, comprehensive map. Right, all right.
Yeah, so this one here, this one is, we're going from residential to agriculture. The reasoning behind this is that they have a business out there, there's an existing business. And so we're looking at this as being a major home occupation. This is where this gentleman or this couple lives. So what they're doing is they have an LLC that they've already created. The idea behind this business is auto repair. And so in order for us to be able to accommodate that, we need to first get them into the agricultural district from the residential district.
Okay. Any discussion on resolution 32?
I'll move to accept. Second.
Kevin Will, second. Dave Morak. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 32 passes. Resolution number 43. Amendment to Wapak County Ordinance number 45 of the General Code of Ordinances, comprehensive map.
So this one is currently in their preferred land use as forestry. And what they're looking at doing is they're creating a 10-acre parcel that they're looking to sell to their son. And in order to be able to do that, they need to create additional development rights. In the town of Helvetia, agriculture or forestry has a D40, so every 40 acres is one development right, whereas agriculture or the district that they're going into, I believe, is ag retention, which is a D10. So for every 10 acres is one development right. And that was in order for us to be able to create that lot, we need to get from the forestry or PVRF to the agricultural district to allow for this creation of a lot, this 10-acre lot.
Okay, any discussion on resolution number 43? If not, all those in favor?
No, make a motion.
Oh, we need a motion from,
You gotta do the motion.
by David. Morak,
I'll second that.
second by Dennis Mangelski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Resolution number 44. Healthy Lakes DNR grant resolution.
So this resolution is just a renewal of number 39 from the 2016-2017 season for our Healthy Lakes Grant Program that we participate in nearly each year. That program provides cost sharing for riparian landowners to do small water quality practices around lakes and rivers. So DNR, every so often they change a couple of words in their template resolution, and then they ask us to run it back through county board.
So it's a good deal.
What's that?
It's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a good grant program for riparian owners.
Okay,
I'll make the motion to accept resolution number 44.
motion by Kevin Will,
I'll second. Oh,
Go ahead.
pick one.
I heard Scott's.
Okay, you got me.
second by Scott. Any
That was
further
my
discussion?
not looking up anyhow.
Yeah, that's all right. First person.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is approved. And finally, resolution number 45, chapter 47, donated conservation easement, Arthur J. and Rita V. Richardson.
So, like the one I had last month, this is a resolution for us to accept a conservation easement. We're actually a co-holder here with, American Farmland Trust and NRCS. So this is a kind of a federal easement program that the Richardsons have applied to a couple of years ago, were accepted into. And, they kind of wanted to wrap this up before the change in federal administration here next month, so.
Any discussion, anyone? Okay, need a
Move to approve.
move to approve by Dennis,
I'll second it.
second by Kevin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, that takes us through the resolutions. We got the reports,
Looks like I'm your only report today.
and the only reports we have is Diane, so you've got the floor.
So, good, I'm glad Ryan stayed, on the zoning, section here, my first part of the agenda. There are, we have some cases that are pending in the circuit court related to Board of Adjustment, proceedings. I do not participate, as counsel for Board of Adjustment because it's supposed to be a separate and distinct quasi judicial body separate from the county itself. So we typically have engaged with outside counsel to represent the Board of Adjustment. The Hop Newman firm in Sheboygan has been providing legal services for probably the last 3 years.
3 years at least?
4 years. So we have three cases that are in the circuit court that arose from the Board of Adjustment action, which were adverse against the landowners. So the landowners want the Board of Adjustment action to be reviewed by the trial court. The first case that was in this situation was landowners called L&D Enterprises. And they filed action probably in the late 2022, early 23. But our counsel filed a motion to dismiss because they didn't prosecute the case essentially. And the landowners stipulated to agree to dismiss the case because they were no longer using the property in the way that the variance was sought. So that's done in a good resolution. So the Board of Adjustment actions weren't scrutinized at all by the trial court. We have a second case is filed by a landowner, which is a business or a corporation called J-Mark Enterprises. And this is a variance denial by the Board of Adjustment for a screen porch and a side deck, I think.
Yeah, there was a side patio, and then he ended up actually affirming the patio, but the screen porch was denied.
So that was the case, the trial court action was filed in October of 2023. And they're just starting to brief that case now. These two young ladies are on the next agenda item, so they're invited here. And then the third action that's the Board of Adjustment, I think we talked about it a little bit last meeting, is the Board of Adjustment approval of the conditional use permit for the non-metallic mine for the Iola Old Car Show. So that was approved by the Board of Adjustment in a very thoughtful decision. It was 41, I think, different points long. And the landowners, 3 landowners who neighbored the property filed for circuit court a review action on November 26th. So that case is just getting started. Ryan and his staff are assembling the record, which is quite large. Actually, they assembled the Planning and Zoning Committee actions that took place over the course of 2020, early 2023 and into 2024, and then the Board of Adjustment action that just happened earlier or late this summer, early fall. So 2 of those cases are still going. Hop Newman is representing the Board of Adjustment on the 2 cases that are continuing to be in front of the trial court. These cases are largely briefing cases based on the record. There's not a lot of in-court activity. It's a lot of briefing and then coming to the court for the court to render the court's decision. And should the matter be, should the Board of Adjustment decision be affirmed, then the landowners still have the right to appeal to the Court of Appeals. So we don't know where where it's headed, obviously, because it's still in litigation. And my understanding is the permit will not be issued for the non-metallic mine until all the appeals are done. So nothing is gonna happen at the car show grounds related to the non-metallic mine until all the appellate activity is done. So I'm not sure how long the trial court is gonna take. We know that Judge Nielsen has been assigned just by random draw. It's likely that he might recuse himself and then we have to wait for another judge to be assigned to the file. So there's some sort of process delays that will take place or likely to take place before any actual litigation or briefing schedule gets set by the trial court. So otherwise, I think those are the only things that have been, that's all about all the activities that the Board of Adjustment has done over the last 2 years. These are the two that remain in the trial court, so. Switching to my Health and Human Services numbers, year to date for adult involuntary mental commitments, we've had 69 adults in this circumstance, 6 more since the last time we met last month. Youth continue to be unfortunately in need of involuntary psychiatric care. Total year to date is 13. We had 2 more youth detained since last time we met. The child welfare cases, the child abuse and neglect cases, year to date, we have 23, 2 new since the last time, and I believe we're gonna take custody of a 10-year-old this afternoon from his mother's care. So expect that number to increase for next month. Termination of parental rights cases, Angela has filed 7 for the year. 3 have reached their conclusion and 4 continue in litigation. So those are largely will largely resolve in one way or another in early 2025. Take care, Ryan. We had 19 youth guardianships that we filed out of our child welfare cases. So those are 19 kids that were removed from child abuse or neglect in their home and found permanence with a guardian who's most likely a relative. And then for adult guardianships, I have 22 for the year, 2 more than the last time we met, including 1 that was an emergency protective placement. So we've removed someone, an adult with dementia, from his home into a care facility in Stevens Point due to really aggressive behaviors and the care provider, in-home care provider, not being able to provide for his care. So we'll have further hearings on that case at the end of December. So just based on timing of when the removal, those cases have to be heard within 30 days. There's an emergency hearing within 72 hours, and then we have to get the protective placement order and the permanent guardian appointed within a 30-day period. So pretty active month in CHIPS and guardianship cases. Yeah, sure, of course. No.
That is okay. I always ask your permission, Chairman. And have you had, and we got this in our Wisconsin County thing, you get this thing
I do get it.
on that? And I know it just came out on that, but it had something to do with the placement into a inpatient psychiatric facility, basically for a historic type of, how can I say, a 55 guardianship type thing?
I didn't read the article.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
just curious, because I'm talking next year, obviously, that some of this stuff might have to be before us, but I just wanted to check to make sure you got this and everything.
So I do have it. I think the last month's was on specifically to mental health. So there's some articles on last month's as well. I didn't read that one as well. You don't have to give it to me,
Oh,
Kevin.
okay.
I have it.
Got it?
It's,
You get the
yeah.
book, okay.
You walk into my office, it's stacked with the stack of Wisconsin Counties magazines that I haven't read.
Yeah,
It's very obvious where it is.
yeah, we had a change in 5167 apparently regarding inpatient placements, psychiatric inpatient placements regarding someone who historically you would have Cause you normally can't take someone into an inpatient psychiatric, you know, who is a protective placement type of individual, but they apparently must have just came through with something like this. So I just thought I'd ask real
Yeah, so
quick.
the person who is subject to a 51 or a 55 protective placement, if they have underlying mental health issues and are proper subject for treatment, they can be detained under chapter 51.
Correct.
Right, so that those are parallel tracks, so if there's something that helps them merge, that's helpful for a lot of these folks who tend to fall through the systems. I mean, there's no good solution for them because their disease frequently is very aggressive and difficult to control. And obviously deteriorating. The problem with elderly folks with aggressive behaviors is we don't have facilities of either type, a psychiatric type or a non-psychiatric care facility that is able to meet their needs. So it's just really a lack of resources frequently. So it's hard to find placements for some difficult folks and sometimes folks get admitted to facilities. The facility thinks they have staffing to handle the behavior and then they don't, and then it's just dangerous for both the patient, resident and the staff, so.
Yeah, I drove van for a nursing home, till 2019 and for the last 7-8 years, and I had to take somebody that was just out of Clintonville because nobody could control her.
Yeah.
I think it was Kalkana, they had a facility and that was much more set for a person like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're few and far between. We've had folks placed as far away as Eau Claire and the little Eau Claire area and La Crosse area, just because they're specialized facilities. And those facilities, their aim is to address the behaviors through medications or other programming in order for them to be stabilized enough to go into the non-acute facilities. So yeah, so it's really, you know, there are many different types of dementia, and the really aggressive one is really the most difficult to manage for folks. So.
Does the
Thank you
company
for the
pick up
questions.
costs for all that, or
So
does the state, or-
Most folks are, when I'm involved with guardianships or protective placements, folks are already medical assistance eligible or likely to be medical assistance eligible. So they would be on family care, which would pay for the cost of care, not the county. Where folks are private pay, they have assets to hire, they or their family have assets to hire their own attorneys, and the county doesn't use its resources to those folks who have means to file on their own. Occasionally, we have someone with assets who has no family, and then we work to get them a corporate guardian. But those folks, then the corporate guardian manages the payment for care with their assets.
But are you wondering, Dave, and we're getting off track a little bit, but wondering about the cost of the placement itself, where unfortunately, on human services, we have a fairly large budget for individuals who we have to place in facilities that the county may have to supplement some of the costs for that.
Yeah, and that's really a good point, because so the guardian folks are mostly medical assistance eligible, where family care of the state benefit pays for them. But the other types of placement, if we have placement under a psychiatric facility under chapter 51, or if we have child welfare placements where youth are have aggressive behaviors and can't be cared for in foster care or treatment foster care when they need facility-based placements, that's the county.
County pays.
So those are big ticket items. And then there is a billing process that Department of Human Services goes through for psychiatric payments, and there's some recoupment, but not 100%. And I think, do you know the Winnebago rate? I think the last time I checked, it was something like $1,400 a day.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, for Winnebago
Yeah,
Mental Health
it was-
Institute.
I left in 2006 and it was like $500-600 a day.
Yeah, so it's really, it's an expensive thing. And I can share too, sort of the work of the behavioral health unit and the adult protective services unit. That is really a last resort. We don't go to place people in a facility either or based on a need for protective placement or involuntary psychiatric care until all of their, mechanisms are exhausted. So it's really,
Note, Dave, at one time, our own county nursing home had 3 different units within it.
Yeah.
And one had to do with ICFMR, which is mentally retarded, but the important one for the IMDs, which is Institution for Mental Disease, we were able to actually place within our own facility, and we got a certain dollar rate from the state to help compensate for the additional costs of those individuals who have mental issues
Right.
that need to be placed. Now we have to place elsewhere, because obviously we closed Lakeview a long time ago.
yeah. And the similar to the goal of these geriatric facilities, acute geriatric facilities, the inpatient psychiatric facility, the goal is to get them stabilized and back in the community as quickly as possible. So a 2-week stay is very long. You know, if somebody stays 2 months, that person is very, very ill, right? So it's more, generally, it's a 3 to 7 day stay, sometimes less than that, but generally it's a short term, get the person stabilized on medication programming and then released to the community with supports.
Thank you.
Oh, good question.
I had one thing, can we go back a little bit?
Yep.
You said Judge Nielsen will have to recuse himself.
I said Judge Nielsen may recuse himself.
And for what reason was that?
It's his decision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, I mean, this is, as you know, it's been a pretty actively Facebook type thing in the community, so.
Yeah.
But I don't know his decision, I don't wanna project what he might do, but it's not uncommon for our judges, our local judges to recuse themselves. For example, already on the Iola Car Show, there was already a circuit court action filed in Wapaka County after the Planning and Zoning Committee acted. I believe Judge Huber was assigned, he recused himself, and we got a judge from Outagamie County. So there's precedent, but I don't wanna speak for Judge Nielsen, and I don't wanna predetermine an outcome, but I know that he's assigned.
But with the shortage of judges and especially, that has that big effect when you recuse yourself, and also for when somebody can't afford their own attorney. It just seems that that's making the problem worse.
Well, in this sort of case, there wouldn't be a right to counsel. So the zoning actions, there's no right to counsel, so our judges appointing counsel for these individuals, it would not occur. So if that's your concern, and again, I don't wanna predetermine
Yeah, okay.
judges' thinking, and I don't wanna second guess Judge Huber's thinking, and every judge, every case has the right to determine whether or not he or she can participate fairly or
Okay.
has some other conflict, so. Moving on to our appeal cases, no progress, so I don't have anything to report. So ALH and JG, actually ALH, Angela filed the brief on that one on the 20th of November. And so it'll be probably another 6 months before we get an order from the Court of Appeals. JG is a mental commitment case that is just, the record is being assembled now for the Court of Appeals. And then SG is the child welfare case that we haven't heard from, and it's been several months now, almost a year. So on that case, so we'll see. Giving you an update on the courthouse remodel, just letting you know that I'm doing the vast majority of the legal work related to the remodel has fallen to me. I've engaged with outside counsel to work on the contracts for Dimension for on the entire remodel project, and then on Myron for their CMAR. So these are, I think the Myron is done, and the entire document ended up being 175 pages long. Dimension, we are probably on our 4th version, back and forth, going back on the terms of that one, so that's about a 50-page contract, but so I've been working with 2 attorneys from Von Briesen in Milwaukee helping me on that. Really concerned about making sure the liability for things is in the right place and not having the county be overextended on liability. So the other thing that I'm working on now, and Chair Morak was participated in conversation with the foundry. So I'm drafting a commercial lease for the foundry. Hopefully we're gonna get, Christy and I are meeting with our insurance folks, hopefully midweek this week, to get the insurance provisions correct in terms of how we manage the liability issues for our employees and our products and our furniture fixtures in the building. And then how, what the foundry needs to cover in terms of maintaining insurance on the property itself. So that's happening. And then I also am working on a commercial lease for the Rashke Chiropractic building in Wyawega. So those are leases that are in progress. Hopefully I'll get them done by the end of the week. The foundry is very interesting because there's a lot of language that's going in there as to why we're paying almost $80,000 for capital improvements to improve their building. Mostly furniture, and the reason is they're not charging us rent. So they're foregoing the income in lieu of the capital improvement to their building, so which is yeah, and so it's unique, so it's sort of, to have enough information in the document so a taxpayer can say, why are we spending money on the building, on their building. So that's about a page and a half of explaining why the contract is set up in that way. So so a lot of that work, I didn't ask for it, but it's coming my way.
Yeah, another thing we never thought of, or I wouldn't have thought of, all this remodeling, but it's just another facet that it's very cumbersome. It's not just come in there and hammer a few nails and put some drywall up.
Yeah, and I think then, if you're watching the county website, the next thing that's gonna be public related to the whole project is Ron has to competitively bid the carpeting, because it's over $25,000. So they'll be bidding for the carpeting. That I think was a $59,000 anticipated. I don't know, it's a 12,000 square feet of space, something like that. 10,000 might be carpeted.
Okay.
And then public property is gonna meet on Friday, and then you'll know whether or not the bid packages are gonna go out in January or not, so. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, so, yeah, there's a lot.
And how come you went with Von Briesen instead of Andy Phillips?
Because I've had Von Briesen before with, when we did the highway shop. And we had good legal services from them in the highway shop. And I know the folks who are on Atola's staff. And actually, when I had Von Briesen for the highway shop, Andy worked at Von Briesen, and he referred me to his colleague. So the attorneys on staff are attorneys that are largely known to me through government work, but none doing this sort of specific niche practice.
Right, just curious.
Yep. So and then the other thing related to the remodel, just sort of catching you up to date on where we might land. So I've been talking with my staff about what moving around the building. So so Angela, Claudia and I are set to have a temporary location. We're on the occupancy in the building in phase 1 in my corner office. So where I work now by myself, the 3 of us will be working together. All 3 of us have remote privileges and setup, so it may be that we rotate out and be remote just to have more quiet workspace while we're there. We'll see what happens. So we're anticipated. The goal for Ron is to have all employees in their new temporary location, or I shouldn't say new temporary, in their phase 1 temporary location by April 1. So, and that's sort of moving people offsite to the Rashke building, moving offsite to the foundry people, and then moving folks who are located to the right, is north of the elevator shaft, all those people either to the other side of the building or elsewhere. So my child support staff
are in the empty side of the building. So they are going to be temporarily located on second floor in what's called the Public Health War Room. So it's in the back hallway, the back side of the building, right next to the restrooms. So they'll be in the space there. They're kind of the special children of this project because we need 2 layers of security. So they will be, because we handle IRS tax information, so the program requirements are 2 layers of security. So that place will be locked on the other side of the door and accessed by permission only by staff. And then we have to track everybody who comes in the building. So they'll be on the second floor. Right now I have 4 staff. We're gonna wait to recruit for the 5th staff until after April 1, until everybody's down there and we can have 5 people set up down there. So with maybe like a May 1 start date, something like that. So there'll be 5 workstations in that particular space, which it's a big space. There are 2 separate spaces, but one of the things, we have hard files. So we have to have a space for our file storage as well. So right now we have 4, we'll have 5 in mid 2025, but they'll be located on the second floor. On phase 2, whenever phase 2 is done, I think they're thinking maybe July of 2026. The child support will have its new space. So the child support is in the 3rd floor, located in the new entryway of the building, so above the parking lot. So they'll be all ready and move into their remodeled space. I don't know where I'm going, and Angela and Claudia and I are going. So, but we can't be in the space that we're gonna be at in phase 1, because that's gonna be remodeled. So a lot of moving parts. If you notice things boxed up and moving out of the courthouse, Ron has asked all employees to remove all of their personal items out of the building by January 1. Employees can keep what they can move by themselves in a box, so it's gotta be light enough and small enough, because Ron doesn't wanna move personal things, so, and his staff, so. So you see a lot of changes, so January 1 is that target date, and then April 1 is when everybody moving out to their remodeled location.
The access for your staff on second floor, when you move down to second floor. I'm assuming you still see some clients
Yes,
face to face.
yes.
Is the plan then to perhaps utilize some of the, other rooms that we have available for that kind of thing, and then the office area is totally restricted?
We're gonna do what we did in COVID, which is try to have as many conversations as we can with very generic information in the hallway. We have a podium, so we're kind of on the end of the hall, like by the back stairwell. And then there's going to be a public hallway from the front of the building where the elevators are to the back of the building where the bathrooms are. So the public will be able to get to us, and then we'll just have to pop out and have conversations with them as much as we can. So it's not a problem to bring them into the suite. They just have to have permission by one of the staff people to come in, and then we have to track who's there. Yeah, what time they come in and when they leave. Yep. So, any questions about the remodel and stuff? Okay, so we'll move on to the child support numbers. If you want to throw out the numbers, we are still in our situation where cases are only assigned to our 2 seasoned employees, Bria and Deborah. They have over 1,000 cases each. And so our collections have been hindered by the volume, and our establishing cases and getting paternity adjudicated continues to have some, there we go. Thank you, Christy. Some delays. So if you look at our performance in the lower left, again, 80% is the target. As Supervisor Zog noted last time, we're always higher than the state, and we're lower than the state in all but.
What happened because of lack of help?
Yes,
Staff.
is staffing, so. So I looked at the collections over the total collections, this month was 546,000. Last month is 551, so in shouting range of what we collected last year.
We generally, historically, we get a little push in November because people who have their hunting licenses suspended come in and pay, so we get a little bump.
They
but-
suspend? Yep.
Yep.
Really?
Yep, yes,
I'll
and
be
we can
darned.
suspend driver's license and passports, so, yeah, and we can place liens on cars and homes, so, yep, so, but we have relief in sight, so
Hey, the guy plays orange, but.
So I invited Brenda Bonkowski, who started in August, is to welcome her to the committee. I think I had conflicts August and September, so I missed a couple of meetings in a row then. And then when Tara Johnson came earlier this month, I asked Brenda, did I make you come to the committee? And she said no. So Brenda Bonkowski and Tara Johnson are the two employees that we hired to join our team. So you want to say a little bit about yourself, Brenda?
Yeah, I'm Brenna. I'm originally from Scandinavia, like born and raised my entire life. My dad's family's from Manawa. My mom's from Iowa, so my whole life is Waupaca County, basically. I went to UW La Crosse, and I majored in psychology. And then I did AmeriCorps, which is like a government Peace Corps thing within the US. I did that for about 10 months. So I did a bunch of outsourcing, worked with some at-risk youth, things like that, trying to find like, I guess, where I want to put my psych major towards. And then after that, I moved to Texas for a short little bit, realized I didn't like it at all. I was living in Houston, probably won't ever go back. But I did some HR down there, and then I moved back up here just to be closer to home. And I enjoy Wisconsin. I like our cheese and our people are nice. And so, and then I saw this job and I applied and I've been here ever since. And yeah.
And Brenna started August 12th, so she is, by the end of the year, we're gonna be flipping cases to her. So Deborah and Bria are over the moon. She's already working on contempt.
Yes.
And she'll be in court with Angela here in the next couple days.
Yep, I'm pushing a lot of that. I've liked a lot of it. Like, I love the documentation of it. I like how you still get to talk to people, but that's not like the constant of the job. There's so many different facets you get into, like the financial side and stuff like that, but yeah. I like it.
Doing well. And Tara started, this is her first Monday.
Yeah.
We started last Tuesday. So.
Really threw her into the fire.
I know.
All the way the newbie. I came here, so Tara Johnson, I am also a local, so I was a Watoma girl, born and raised and graduated. And so I have really only lived like within a 10-mile radius of like where I've been from all of my life, raised my kids here. So I'm definitely local, not to the Waupaca area, but it's where I visit. I worked in public education before this, so I was administrative assistant and then also in accounting and HR for about 20 years. And then hence all the things in public education right now, it was kind of time for a change. So as my oldest started to be able to drive, kind of gave me a little more freedom. And I also found this job, and I mean, a lot of training this week so far, but I'm loving it. So looking forward to the good things I can do and help out with those caseloads too.
You were finding HR is really a good starting point because the HR person has managed the income withholdings on the other side for
Kind
the
of like the
employees.
flip side of it.
So, and just looking up information about wages and income and things like that.
Even like health insurance stuff too, like a lot of our court cases, either parent have to provide health insurance, so then you have to contact the employer and figure out numbers and see if they're able to do that. And so like with HR, I did health insurance there, and now it's like, oh, it's basically the same thing, you just apply it differently.
So the state has a 2-week introductory training protocol that is computer-based training. So if Tara looks a little glossy, she's 4.5 days into that, so.
Probably happy to be away from that.
Your new voice.
Right.
Two voices for a lot.
It is, yeah, Troy Myers, but yeah.
And we also have to do every year an IRS training and a every 3 years, we have to do civil rights training. So as a holiday gift, I always remind my staff, it's that time again, and Tara doesn't get the gift because she did it as her onboarding. So and I told Tara that one of the trainings has been the same since I started in 2003, and we used to watch it on a VHS tape.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, so now you get to watch it.
And you have a list of all the things that would, if people don't pay their bills, I mean, hunting license and all that.
Yeah, so we can do administrative enforcement, so we can seize bank accounts, passport denial,
I know the
driver's
hunting
license,
stuff.
hunting license.
I didn't think that stop guy from hunting.
Yep.
Yeah, you can, and we can, if there's pension or other lump sum distributions, social security, back pay, state and federal tax intercept, and then we can put people in jail.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
These,
Yeah, it's not paid, just paid.
these two are gonna help get our numbers up.
So, yeah, so instead of having 1,000 people, for 2 people, I'll have 4 people with 500. And then when we have the 5th specialist, it will go even lower. So then it's more case management instead of just reacting to what's
To what's
coming in the
happening.
door, so.
Cause this is a state awarding county. It has
Yes,
been.
yeah, we've
Cool.
gotten achievement awards, 2 times in the last 5 years from the state, for excellence, so. Yeah, we're not used to being these low numbers, so we're looking forward to
We're
a
confident we'll
change.
get back there. Get up to our staffing level.
Yeah,
Or help you.
yeah, and I think waiting till 2025 in the spring for recruitment again, I think will be a good, good pace, so. Cause I've had to recruit a couple of times over the last 8 months, which doesn't always look good as a public facing thing, like, why are we I think you said, why are you still recruiting? Didn't I get the job? And you're like, yeah, it's for the 5th specialist that we didn't hire.
One problem, Diane,
What?
we're looking forward to a big 2025, but according to this, we're gonna have to do 24 all over again.
I don't understand.
There's a typo on.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I closed my.
that was me.
I don't want it.
That was our next meeting, it says January 2024.
Okay,
It
sorry.
should be 2025.
Everything's under
I
control.
closed everything.
That was me.
So I'm really excited to have Tara and Brenna with us, and we're getting a great team, so.
And I think like timeline too, it's the training for our specialist position, cause like even me, I've been here since August and I still have a training in like January that I signed up for, so. And so I think that chunk of it definitely, you need it, but that kind of helps us push back a little more, I guess.
The state also has webinar-based trainings that Tara's signed up for, and Brenna's gone through quite a few. She has some left, so those are, and they don't happen all the time, so they happen quarterly. So we're hoping that Tara can get in hers next week, otherwise she's waiting till February for the new worker training, so. But a lot of training is done by the other staff, so there's a lot of sit-aside time, a lot of supervising, mentoring and shadowing. So that takes away from my seasoned people ability to manage their own cases, so, but we'll get there. So, thank you ladies for coming down.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
That's all I,
Back to work.
yeah. That's all I had. So thank you.
I didn't mean to scare everybody.
Oh, and I will just add for January, we are going to start, because of the remodeling, we're gonna start having our meetings offsite, so when maintenance is ready to clear these rooms out, we're not holding them up by having meetings. So our next meeting in January will be held at the Fox Valley Tech, right here down the road.
Why not have Gophers?
And it's a little too far.
Yeah, all the standing committee meetings are gonna be at Fox Valley Tech.
Yeah,
Look
and
at-
we're shooting for January to start moving people out. Like I said, maintenance is gonna have, besides staff and offices and equipment to move off-site, in-site, they have to empty these rooms out too. And I don't know what their schedule is, and I don't wanna be the one that holds them up, so
Right.
we're just taking all the standing meetings out.
When we, rooms at the highway building.
They have their own meetings as well.
Oh,
And we needed something,
Okay.
we can't have them overlapping and
yeah,
they would come first. Their
So
stuff is gonna be more important than mine, and I believe they're housing some offices.
There, some,
The
That
extension
veterans
is
is-
gonna be.
Yeah.
That veterans is going up.
yeah,
Veterans will be at
veterans is
highway.
going to go in there. I remember being at a meeting, they're already got some department going to the highway department to be.
I don't know.
we just go over to the tech and walk in, they'll tell us where to go.
Yep, there'll be some signage, there'll be wayfinding signage to let us know which room. I don't know if they have an assigned room for us, but there'll be definitely be clear signage to
Yeah.
get us to the right room.
All right, anybody been to any meetings or projects, seminars, webinars? Oh. Our next meeting then will be January 13th,
2025.
2025.
Anyway,
All right, a motion to adjourn
motion to adjourn.
by Mr. Moore, we're adjourned.
Dave, do you have 2 seconds?
Yes, I